We've all been there. I know you have. This is Paul Marlette. This is another part of our object manipulation series as part of the support of the implementation of the new physical education and wellness curriculum. And this is in association with the ARPDC, Blue Glasses, right series. All right, so we're moving into the receiving of objects. So in the last video, we looked at just those basic 4 steps on how to analyze students' throwing ability. 3 things I want to talk about before we jump into this one. When you're teaching these skills, there's a few things that make a huge difference. And the first one is using that DEAR method, where we demonstrate first, we let kids experiment, then we explain, then we review, and then kids experiment again. We looked at that in some of our previous series. Another really good one is this notion of called perfect, wrong, perfect. So let's go back to throwing for a moment. If I'm demonstrating how to throw a ball, I might, before I say anything, talk to the kids about this is what we're going to be doing today, and I would do a couple of very exaggerated, perfect throws without talking. Okay, so as I do it, I make it really obvious, those 3 steps, my prep phase, my carry out phase, and my completion. And then I don't say anything, I just say, hey, here's a tennis ball, find a spot on the wall, let's throw that ball, see if you can make it look just like that. And give them 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, what that does, that's that DEAR method. The perfect, wrong, perfect would be like this. So we all set up, or I show them, and I do a perfect one, and then I go like this. Okay, so you make it really wrong. The next one is a perfect throw. And then you just simply ask, what did you notice between the 2? Why is one more effective than the other? So I just always want to bring that back, that although this isn't technical teaching on how to teach it, just to keep those things in mind that we've talked about in other sessions. So when it comes to catching, receiving, right? Receiving, because there's many things that we can receive. When we are receiving an object, there's 2 main ways. And again, they work 95% of the time. The first one is what students are going to learn first, and I just call it a basket. It's got lots of names, but the basket is going to be an overlapping of the pinky finger and the ring finger. Okay, wide hands, right? And this is going to be belly button or below. Some people say waist and below. I like it up a little higher. Okay, so that's the main one. That's called a basket. The next one's called the diamond. Diamond's in the sky. Okay, and it's kind of the opposite. So in this one, you have thumb and your index finger together. It's creating another basket, but it's up high. Okay, and if you look, they always have a bit of a cup, almost like a soup bowl, right? So it has some kind of shape to it. Okay, so we're going to do the similar thing as we did to our last video. I'm going to show you the 4 stages: the emerging, the developing, the acquired, and the accomplished catch in a fairly stationary environment, right? Like as kids get better, we always want to get them moving, back to that teaching games for understanding model. And I'm going to show you from the side and also from the front view. I have my lovely assistant today who's volunteered her time. This is my beautiful daughter, Zoe. She's here to help out, so we'll just give her a big round of applause. She can't hear it, but that's okay. Energetically, she'll feel it. So first phase. So when we're dealing with catching, the biggest thing that you're going to see, especially in the K1, 2, and 3, is that first off, a lot of parents are not playing with their kids in terms of catching and throwing. Really important developmental piece for the brain. It links up all kinds of coordination, neural pathways, and multi-limb coordination. So first phase, this is the developing phase. What you're going to notice, or the emerging phase, what you're going to notice is that they're going to be really stiff. They're not going to be able to react to the ball because their brains haven't done it before. Looks like this, okay? Oh, you just throw underhand? Sorry, just like that. Thanks. That was a really perfect example, actually. Nice shot. Hit me in the head. I'm not going to move, so. One more. Okay, so you're going to see 2 really key things. One of the things that you're going to notice is their hands are going to stay stiff, their fingers are going to be stiff, the elbows are going to be locked, okay? And they're not going to react. okay, because the brain can't do that calculation that quickly. The other thing they may try to do is to catch it with their torso. Okay, so it looks like this, okay? They don't know how to react to it or absorb. They're just really stiff. They may have success because they're actually leaning into it. Okay, legs are stiff. They may take a step, and they may get lucky by catching it. So and after that first phase, what you're going to start to notice is that the brain is going to recalculate every time they miss. And that's the thing that we got to remember. So in the developing stage, what you're going to start to see is that their arms are going to move a little bit more. They may actually start to bend their knees because they realize they have to adjust. Okay, so the arms are going to start to do that. It's going to be really hard on the landing. Okay, they're still going to be really slow, and it's going to bounce around. And at the end, they're not going to know what to do with it. Okay, it's going to be just in the hands. Okay, so that second phase, which is just slightly different from the front, looks a little bit different, but not that much. So they're standing a little more bent. The arms may move a bit. They're probably going to miss anything that doesn't come directly to them. Okay? So if you're doing this in partners or in groups or in a game, you want it to be a game where they don't have, that was not a developing one. I moved too much. They may even just move their arms. So if it goes off to the side, they're going to move their arms a little bit and hopefully get their hands around it. The fingers are going to turn into more like worms, which is one of the Australian groups. The Australian website that I found that I've referenced in the resource, they talk about worm fingers, just so that they're soft. Okay, now as we move into the next phase, this is one where they're starting to put it together. So this is the acquired. In their prep, what you're going to notice is that they're actually going to be down a little bit. Notice the change in the body shape. And their hands aren't going to be so low, okay? Because they're going to realize that if you get hit in the head, you have to switch. Okay? Now, when you're doing this, a little tip, you can have your partner throw low and then have them throw one up high, but gently. So they get used to getting their arms up. Okay? So you can alternate low and then high. Okay? We're starting to get into that. When we go to the other side, I'll show you. Oh, not quite yet, sorry. When we go to the other side, I'll show you how you can really test to see if they're at that. So the big thing is the shape, athletic stance, bend your knees. Okay? The hands are going to be up a little higher. They're not just out flat, trying to catch it like a cookie sheet. They're going to be to the side. Okay? Now, wherever it goes, there's going to be some movement first. So we're starting to get that little shuffle. It moves, oh, I can't get there. Oh, I had to get my thumbs together that time. So they're starting to see that whole progression. This is a really exciting time because this means that you can now get into more gameplay, right? We're still stationary. So again, arms are now going to be up around the sternum. Okay, we're there, catch it. Okay, and you'll notice that the hands are actually closing around the ball. I'm going to switch to a tennis ball here because the tennis ball is going to be even harder. Okay? Because the tennis ball is smaller, it's harder to catch. Okay? So we really have to get that basket in tight. May even have to cross 3. Now you'll notice that I still talk about 3 or like a two-handed catch even with the tennis ball. We don't need to have elementary kids working on one-handed catches. It's actually not in many sports other than baseball. Okay? Like that. So we're moving. Okay, ball comes in, I take a little hop, and I protect the ball. I'm not trapping it right up to my body. We'll use that other ball again there too, Zoe. So the very last phase, this is where, number one, they're going to be able to catch things as they're moving. Okay, we can throw the ball in different directions, but the other big thing is this. Once we get to that accomplished phase, not only are they going to be bent, but they're going to be like moving a little bit. They might be just shuffling their feet. Okay? And the other big thing you'll notice is that they're going to actually anticipate the ball before it's even released. So they're catching the ball with some absorption. So as the ball comes in, okay, their arms are going to be reaching out for it, out front, and they're going to pull it in. If you watch NBA players, they usually have their hands way out when they're getting that ball. Okay? Whenever we give students a big target to throw to, their accuracy is going to be better too. Okay? This here, when they pull it in, this is a form of protection. And that's the end point of catching. If we can catch it and then we think about protecting it, now we're at a point where we're ready to implement that as a tactic into a game. Okay? So eyes are always watching, quick movements. They're smoothly transitioning between below or above. and their arms aren't going to start here. They're going to start out here, out in front, because they want to get that ball. We'll do that from the front. And this time I'm going to have Zoe throw it a little bit to the side and side. Okay, so here I am, just throws it over there. I pull it in. Okay, notice I'm moving. I can anticipate even before it's there. If she throws one a little higher, okay, I got my hands up and I pull it in. There's just a lot more motion happening. So as your students get better, what Zoe and I just did here was a great little thing. Have them throw it a little bit to the side, throw it short, and see how they do. If your students are standing there like this, hands down, and they're missing it, that's a sign that they're not actually ready to be doing too much motion yet, so your game should adjust to do that. Other than that, when we go to things like a rugby ball, I always want to show you a few different ones. So hands are out, okay, I'm pulling it in. Really important in rugby, even if you're playing touch rugby. Okay, so again, the accomplished is pulling it in. What you're going to see kids do when they first start is they're going to be standing straight up, and they're going to just try and stop the ball. 2 hands. Okay, let's go to football. Football is another one. Hand high, hand low. Okay, wherever it is. See, that one was low. I had to adjust, pull it in. Okay, so football is a tough thing to catch. If you're not confident in your kids catching a dodgeball above their head, please don't use footballs, because they hit heads, they hit noses, and they hit teeth. They go right through the kids' hands. Right, so again, all of those scope and sequences are important. Let's look at a frisbee or a disc. So same thing, we're starting here. Hands are up. Difference is that they're not crossed. Okay, what happens if a frisbee comes in low? I'm going to have thumbs up, palms up. So another version of basket and diamond is palms up, okay, palms almost down. So you got alligator teeth, then you got something else on the bottom. But that's the same thing, just a different position. The other thing I hope you noticed here is that in all of our receiving, I'm actually parallel to my target, or the person throwing me the ball. Unlike when I'm sending, I'm trying to get this rotation. When I'm receiving, I'm trying to bring things in and absorb it. All right? So that's catching. 2 down. We'll move on to the next one, which is kicking just next. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the other side.